What's going on, everybody? As I am working on a big book of builds, because I have so many builds that I can actually do with all my legendary gear. I have every single legendary gear set, and a lot of you want updates to these builds and things of that nature. So I decided to really go through all my gear sets and really look further into it to see what I could come up with. I'm pretty sure I could come up with a bunch of really great ones. And so far, I've been working on some really great ones. In the meanwhile, I decided that while I'm looking through all these gear sets, that the gear sets really do make the build. And I decided maybe I should do a video where I show you guys what my top 10 favorite gear sets are. And, you know, we'll go through them, and maybe it's something that you like, maybe it's something you don't like. But, like I said, it's my top 10, and we'll go through it completely. So, I really do enjoy this. I really do enjoy certain gear sets. You know, my playstyle may be different than yours. I used to use mostly the Assassin playstyle. Recently, I've gotten into Warrior playstyle. And, of course, when at one point, Hunter was just at the top of its game, and I used to do some immense things with Hunter. But anyway, I'm going to show you my top 10 gear sets. Some are going to be premium, where you have to purchase them or get them through the Ecos of the Olympians. And then some of them are actually going to be really easy to get. You'll get them via, you know, just in-game progress. So here we go. Let's get into this. I'm Darkstrider, the YouTube Assassin, and I'm about to show you my top 10. Now, before we get into this top 10, I just want to bring your attention to the fact that I have some merch. A lot of you have been asking for it, and I finally went out, I did it. We have t-shirts, we have mugs, we have hoodies, we have all different colors of all those things, phone cases, things of that nature, all with the Darkstrider logo. You'll love it. Support the channel, buy some of them, buy a couple of them. Every single item you purchase, every dollar actually goes back to the channel so that I can produce better content faster, get better equipment, because, hey, I like you guys, and I like what I do, and this is a lot of fun. So please, by all means, if you have a moment of your time, support the channel, go out there, make a purchase, check the links below, and then, while you're checking out those links as well, use the code STRIDER20, and you'll get 10% off. Anyway, let's get back to the video. So in at number 10, we actually have a tie. We have a tie between the pirate gear and also the pilgrim gear. Now, the pilgrim gear and pirate gear are both obtainable through gameplay. All right, the pilgrim gear you can find as you go and loot treasure boxes all around Greece. They are the massive treasure boxes, though, not the little ones that you normally come across. You'll see it's like ivory and it's gold trimmed and everything. Looks like the Ark of the Covenant is supposed to be in it. So every once in a while you will find a piece of the pilgrim gear in that. And then the pirate gear you will get as you go and defeat a certain branch of the cult. Now, I won't show the Cult of Cosmos thing because they're all clear, and I don't want to spoil the game for anybody who's just starting out. But both things are actually really, really good. The Pilgrim gear has a lot of damage with daggers. It has a lot of things involving the adrenaline consumed by Shadow of Nyx's ability. It's actually a really sneaky set. And the Pirate Hood, or the pirate gear, actually does a lot of the same, but there's a lot of crit on the pirate hood, so I usually favor it over the pilgrim gear. But the thing is that those were the first two attempts that I made in doing builds for Assassin gameplay. Also, as you can see, the pirate set has 50% damage with Assassin abilities, which I love. You couple that with a bunch of other in-game items that you'll find and stuff like that. Pride of the Lion is actually going to be part of the Legacy of the First Blade DLC, but as you can see, you can rush assassinate and it changed to like one more enemy. Atlantean Blade usually was my go-to, and yes, before anybody says, I do see that those two both have the same engraving that I put on them. That was not done purposely. This is not me showing you an actual build. I'm just explaining certain things as far as like how this goes. And for all of you who are new to this, if you put the same engraving on two different items, it does not stack. So, do not do that. But as you can see, there was a lot going on with the pirate gear as far as like crit and everything like that. And I really loved my crit damage, my crit chance, things of that nature. So it was actually like really, really cool. Also used a lot of Shadow of Nyx's ability. So I did use the Pilgrim Set in this thing. Now, the Pilgrim Set, as you're going to see, it actually had like a whole bunch of things. Actually, I really enjoy that they set it up so you could equip the entire set. So again, using the Pilgrim gear and equipping it and using it in conjunction with things like the Pride of the Lion and everything, you're a pretty gangster sort of assassin. As you can see, a lot of assassin damage with daggers, adrenaline, assassin damage again. This one really, it focused on adrenaline, so that way you could knock out a bunch of enemies real quick. You could boost up your adrenaline. You were basically like your own certain farm in order to like go out there and like devastate large amounts of enemies. And then along with devastating all those enemies, you were actually able to recover your adrenaline real quick so that you could just keep getting in the game. Otherwise, you would lose a lot of potential time as you were trying to build your adrenaline back up. All right, so there was a lot going on here, especially if you're using the chain attack. If you're using the chain attack, which is like a go-to staple of mine whenever I use assassin builds, you really want to be able to like get it out quick, go to the next person. If you're maxed out and you have the Pride of the Lion sword, you can actually hit like 5 or 6 guys before you stop. And I mean, that's just devastating. You could take out like a whole platoon of people. In at number 9 for me is the Hades set. This thing just looks intimidating. Besides that, it actually is a pretty cool warrior set, especially if you're really fire oriented. As you can see, it has warrior damage, has fire damage. I tend to add a lot of other fire boosting things to this. And as you can see, the whole set gives you 50% of an adrenaline segment with warrior abilities. That means that as soon as you do anything warrior-like, you're gaining a lot of adrenaline. It builds off of adrenaline, as you can see. Damage with overpower abilities, 10 seconds burning duration, 30% damage with spears. And you want to use spears with this. You want to use like the Hades Bident. And as you can see, warrior damage, crit damage, damage with the Ring of Chaos ability, or even the Mallet of Everlasting Flame. 25% warrior damage, 40% fire damage, weapon damage becomes fire damage. I mean, this is heavy duty. And yes, this is one of those things that you actually either have to, gamble at the Ecos of the Olympians, or even just, try your luck and see if you could get it out of, the Olympian gifts, or, you could purchase it. I mean, you could purchase the entire set, or you could purchase the armor alone. Any which way you cut it, this thing is actually incredible. With no engravings, it's just a powerhouse right now. But the thing is that it's a warrior damage, and as you play through, other things that you add to it will increase its effectiveness. Like here we go with the Mallet of Everlasting Flame. You add a couple of things to that just to get everybody caught on fire, and you have one heck of a build. So that's something that I'm going to be working on. And, it's just intimidating as you go through cutscenes and everything. And even just staying still, you'll see that you're dripping flame. And it's just really cool and intimidating looking. I enjoy it. And, I know a lot of you have actually requested that I make a build with this. So that is going to be coming, and it's going to be hot. No pun intended. All right, I'm lying. Pun was very intended. In at number 8 is another premium set. It's the Herakles armor. Believe it or not, this thing is like intense. It's immune to burning. It does a lot of fire damage. It is a warrior class build. And the thing is that you can devastate an entire area with this armor as long as you've got something that, you know, just basically has some sort of burning to it. It's just immense. And the thing is that, like, you could light everything on fire. The entire brush could be on fire. The whole base could be on fire. And out of everything, you will stand alone. You are immune to burning. It's one of the most amazing things that I've ever seen. And the thing is that if you have this set and you do other builds that kind of have the, you know, like some sort of fire to it, then you're actually going to survive because you don't have to worry about fire affecting you at all. It is just wild. So there are some things that, you know, like should be like tweaked here. Obviously, you know, like you really want to see more damage coming out of it, which is fine. But you also want to see a lot of fire things going on. I unfortunately have a assassin set here, but the thing is that as you check out like the other cards, here we go. I still don't have it. If you would have, and I would have been lighting these guys on fire, they would have been exploding out of here, and that's what makes the difference. If you have this kind of a build, you really want to base it around fire. You really want to work that stuff out, and then the thing is, the best part of it all is that you are immune to burning. So there are some times where some people will prefer poison to this because they'll burn. And in this case, you won't. So that's something to consider when you're doing this sort of build. A warrior build that's going to be fire-based, that's intense. In at number 7, we have another assassin set. Like I said, I was really big on assassin set. This is the snake set. Now, the snake set you actually will get by defeating certain members of the cult of Cosmos. They drop pieces of it. Now, what makes this really intense is the fact that it deals a lot with poison. As you can see, we have assassin damage, we have intoxicated duration, and then we have 30% intoxicated damage and weakening effect. That means that as you poison your enemies, they are dying at a rapid rate. So that's amazing. Now, as we look at all the gear, it has elemental buildup. Elemental buildup is both fire and poison. As you can see, as we see like a skull on fire, basically. So that's what that has. But as you look into it, there's a lot of poison damage. There's a lot of assassin damage. And by the way, for anybody who's watching, all these common level tier where it's white like this, that will stack. So you could put, let's say, 40% poison damage on each piece, and it'll only increase the poison damage. You know, obviously it's not going to work with legendary engravings, which are the golden engravings. You can't use more than one, once again. But as you can see, a lot of intoxication and whatnot. You couple that with arachne stingers, which also do poison damage, and then the fanged bow, which, you know, poison arrows, basic arrows become poison, and the pride of the lion. Basically, this is just so that you could get like all those attacks in when you're using, because my go-to is actually going to be the Rush Assassinate. But the thing is that you could do just a heck of a lot of damage as far as poison goes with this kind of build, and it's like absolutely amazing. So as you can see, look at that, it just took a couple of hits for that mercenary to go down. Poison is the name of the game with this. Look at that, over 1 million points of damage in poison. That's what you need. That's what this kind of set brings to the table, and that's what we like to have. If it's a theme set like that, fire, or even if it's gonna be, you know, like poison or anything like that, it really has to bring a lot to the table, and this set actually does bring a lot to the table. In at number 6, I have another warrior set, and this is the Agamemnon set. It's absolutely incredible, deals a lot with fire. As you can see, warrior damage, fire damage, burning rate. Burning rates really do like a lot of damage. You see the duration, you see the build up. It's actually like a pretty incredible set. When coupled with something that will actually cause a lot of fire damage, and you get into it with like any of these people, it really takes a toll on like the enemy. It's actually like a really good control set if you're going to be using things, basically if you're going to be breaking into bases, or even besides fortresses, if you're going to go and you're going to fight in conquest battles and whatnot. This actually does like a lot of damage. As you can see, the fire damage is severe, it's heavy. It's just insane. Like once it gets going, it really makes short work of your enemies. It's really good if you have like a bunch of them all at once. Then it does some like really crazy damage. And there are ways where you could like light everybody up on fire when you do that move. So this is one of the better sets, and you know, it's going to be one of the ones that I'm putting in that big book of builds. It's going to be incredible. So in at number 5, we have the Master Assassin set, and it's basically all found in the Legacy of the First Blade DLC for the game. It's basically all the gear that Darius himself wore, so you look exactly like him, minus the big scraggly beard. Anyway, when combined with certain weapons, again, like the Pride of the Lion and here the Atlantean Blade, you can see that we get a lot of crit damage. This has intoxication as far as like poison, things like that. It actually is a decent build, especially if you put the right weapons to work with this. If you have, you know, like any kind of poison equipment, you're doing a lot of poison damage. You're really messing the enemy up. And then on top of that, if you've got a bunch of other things that, you know, like you've got as far as abilities, so that way you're really making short work of the enemy. You're using the Pride of the Lion in order to like actually get ahead of the game as far as, you know, like attacking multiple people at once. That's what you kind of want. And then of course, if things get rough, you've got the whole Hades thing, or the Ares Madness, so that way you could take out everybody, short work succession, and still survive. Go right back to being the assassin, and I mean, you just alternate like that. It's actually pretty cool. One of my go-to build for the longest time after we got the DLC, and that DLC was complete. I was doing this a lot. In at number 4, we have the First Civilization set, which basically we got from the Atlantis DLC. And besides just looking really cool, it really is an effective assassin build armor. Okay, as you can see, assassin damage, damage with swords, 10% duration for Ares Madness ability once you like activate it. Absolutely incredible. 100% crit damage while low health. You know, so it really wants you to like get hurt. 50% crit damage and 20% crit chance while low health. So if you have low health, then you're really going to like make out with this. You may not want to use any of the health cap to 100 or 100% damage, but health cap to 25%, because you're going to want to like take some damage. But if you do certain things the right way, you will be not so squishy. Again, it just really looks cool. The whole like white thing is like awesome. There is a lot that you could do as far as like assassin techniques goes. And again, I just really enjoyed it. It was really, really amazing for the time when it came out. You could also mix and match. As you can see, there are different things that you could do whenever you get these things. You could like change the cosmetics. So if you do have the actual First Civilization crown, you could apply that and then just make yourself look like, you're outside or you're without the hood. And, it just looks like that. Again, that's something else that actually came from the Atlantis DLC. Here's another one that's actually the prototype crown where it's golden. It actually looks like you've got the hood off because that's what you look like underneath the hood. So, just kind of cool that you could like alter it like that. You could do what you want. And, like you actually look amazing. You actually do look like you're something out of the First Civilization. So definitely this is one of my favorites. Not just because of what it does, but because of the cosmetics and how it looks. Coming in at number 3 for me is actually the Lawgiver Set. Believe it or not, this thing does some like crazy stuff. Depending on your loadout, you could do some really intense damage. As you can see, a lot of warrior damage, a lot of critical damage. Poison ability is added to it, but you could actually change it to like fire. It all depends on your playstyle. See, you've also got fire damage as well. Depending on the gear that you use, you could really clean up here. I actually made 2 builds with this, 1 fire, 1 poison, and each one was so incredibly viable. It was just absolutely amazing. I mean, look at the damage that like I'm hammering out. Look at the buildup that it has. I mean, these guys have absolutely no chance. And the thing is that like, depending on other abilities that you hook up with it, you could just continue to do some outstanding things. I mean, it's a devastating set, and like it takes the cake. Honestly, it's one of like the best, in my opinion, one of the best warrior gears I've ever seen. So again, if you're going to do this with like an epic build or something like that, or epic gear, definitely that's going to be one of the things you want to add. If you're making a warrior build, you're definitely going to want to make sure that you do not leave this one missing. So definitely look that up. It's not one of the ones that you could get in regular gameplay. It is a premium one. So you'll either have to go to the Ecos of the Olympians and try your luck over at the, using the Olympian gifts, or hoping that they actually sell it, like in Sargon's store. Or you could just make a purchase of it off the Ubisoft store. They're well worth it because I just think it's absolutely amazing. It's a control kind of thing, and it just blows my mind. So definitely, this is definitely one of my favorite sets. Now, in at number 2 is a set that is very close to my heart. A lot of you will recognize it if you've been with me from the beginning. It's the Artemis Set. The Artemis Set you can actually collect by defeating all of the animals that are across Greece. Calypso the bear, that big farting boar. By the way, I have a strategy to defeat that boar a lot easier than normal. Just check out my Odyssey videos and you'll find a very simple way to defeat that boar, and it works without fail. A lot of people actually enjoy it. The Artemis build, though, when it was in its heyday, before we even got to level 99, I was doing over 10 million damage with each pluck of an arrow with this set. And this is kind of like what I'm working on right now. This is the first thing I'm working on because I believe that I can bring that back from the dead. I believe I can get 10 million plus damage with one arrow. And the reason that I say that I could bring it back is because after a while, Ubisoft actually nerfed hunters, and it was terrible. It was so annoying because you could only get a quarter of that. So we had to do a lot of extra stuff in order to get that going. But as you can see, the Master Artemis's gear, a lot of headshot damage, hunter damage, obviously, adrenaline on headshot kill, damage with bows on distant targets, bow charging speed, damage with bow charge shot. And then I've added a bunch of different things, like especially crit damage and crit chance, because that is really going to do a lot of what you want there. I'm also toying with like a couple of other things. So again, do not pay attention to this build and try to mimic it right now because it is not solid. But there are a lot of things that I added to it that I wanted, especially as far as like crit damage went. The build, like I said, it was absolutely solid. And as I'm toying with it now, I am seeing like, you know, like just with like regular attacks, like no arrows, I'm seeing millions in damage, and I'm just like, what? You know, not millions, but like more like a million. One. But, you know, like, again, this is one of the things that I'm tweaking. I'm trying to make it better. I really want you guys to, like, have, like, a solid build if you're going to build with this. And, like I said, back in its heyday, the amount of damage that you did was just phenomenal. You could, like, take this to the battlefield, or you could take this to, not just the conquest battle, you could take it to, like, a regular battle. And, I mean, these guys, they just fell. Like, look at that, I hit it. There goes a nice million headshot. I mean, that is nothing. Just imagine, like, 10 million. I was one-shotting everything. I was one-shotting, like, the Medusa, all those things. They were all just getting one-shotted. I mean, here with piercing shields, that's how that's getting killed, but, you know. I'm going to work on it, but like I said, this was my go-to build for a long, long time. I wasn't playing with anything but this. I was going into, once we hit level 99, I was going into the arenas and just devastating with this one build. And it was just phenomenal. It was crazy. So definitely this is my number 2. I love it. I'm going to bring it back. And I'm going to upload a video showing exactly how to get mega massive damage with this thing. Only time will tell. And in at number 1, believe it or not, as much as I love assassin builds, is a warrior build. And a lot of you are always asking me, what set is this? How do I have the disappeared eyes? How do I have this halo? It's the Helio Set. And this Helio Set deals with a lot of like crit chance, warrior damage, elemental resistance. You know, elemental resistance is big for this. Damage with overpower. You know, I use all these basically with fire items, and it gets kind of crazy. On top of that, I actually used the Blade of Yumminess with this build, and you have no chance of using any abilities at all. The passive abilities you could still use, but you can't use Hero Strike, you can't use Rush Assassinate, you can't use Sparta Kick, anything like that. Nothing like that. This set is intense. Over here as well, 600% adrenaline on parry, but the user catches on fire. So it builds up your parrying, but the thing is that every time I've ever played with this thing, I'm almost invincible. In fact, I am invincible. And it's like really crazy. I can't catch fire. If I do catch fire, I'm not going to get hurt. You know, if I use certain abilities, you know, passively, obviously, look at this, I just one-shotted their captain. If I use passive abilities, you know, it does heavy damage. And the thing is that, you know, that's not even like once I catch fire. When I catch fire, stuff gets like really out of hand. I get really stronger. And it's just like an immense build. And then on top of that, with the sunburn resistance that I have from the sun hat, which we've gotten both from the mercenary as well as just going to the shops and finding the right blacksmith, I've actually been able to just, you know, like use this build. And like I said, I am invincible. I use it for everything. For everything. I want to tweak it some more. I want it to be even stronger. I mean, look at this. I'm one-shotting everything. Well, almost everything. Look, that guy took 2 shots. This guy's got a shield, so apparently he needed 3. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. And like I said, it is my go-to. It is my favorite. I cannot tell you how insane it is to use this build with the things that came out along at the right time from like the from the blacksmith shops. Absolutely incredible. And I very rarely do I die when I'm like using this build. If I die, I'm not paying attention. I'm doing something else completely, and it's just absolutely crazy. But there we go. Look, I caught fire again, so much stronger. Thank you. It's an absolute insane build, and honestly, as you can see from like the past couple of months, even further, this is the only build I've been using whenever I'm attacking mercenaries or anything like that, and I'm not, you know, like doing any move other than just swinging for the fences on them. And they're just taking massive amounts of damage. So consider that when you check it out. Also, it is a premium skin. You would have to buy it either at the store, or you just go into the Ecos of the Olympians and hope you have like a really good day where you could purchase all the parts, which are the pieces of armor for head, body, waist, feet, and then the Photinos, which is the bow that goes with this. So that's my list. And let me know, what do you think of it? Do you agree with it? Are there any armors or sets that I missed? Do you have favorites? What is your top 10? Let me know that in the comments below. Maybe in a couple of days, I'll upload my 10 least favorite legendary armor sets. But for now, I'm pretty content with this armor set, and that's what you have to look forward to as I'm doing builds in the coming days. Trust me, I'm working hard on this. I have several types of builds for each legendary set. I may include some epic armor only because, you know, like I kind of want you guys to graduate from legendary to epic. I want you to see exactly how incredible epic armor is, but, you know, use the legendary as a blueprint. If you come up with your own stuff with the epic armor, by all means do that, and let me know about it in the comments below. Other than that, I really do hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. It helps the channel out an awful lot. And also, check out my merch store, please. It will just greatly further help the channel. Support us. You know you want to. Anyway, as always, I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. Until the next one, be good. I'll catch you later.